Hey, it's Peter. Peter Mahaffey. That's right. Don't adjust your whatever device you're listening to this on. It's me, live and in stereo. No return engagements, no encore. And this time, absolutely no requests. Get a snack, settle in, because I'm about to tell you why you should kill yourself because you were mean to me. Hey, Emmet. You're the
Hello.
first tape.
Excellent. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yeah. Let's bring up about that time how you looked at me that certain way, and I was thinking that one thing.
Were
But
you?
you didn't know I was thinking that one thing, and it really
Oh
hurt me.
yeah, yeah. That was really wrong of me. I should have been
Yeah.
able to read your mind. And
Yeah, you should
to
have
be
been.
honest, if only I just loved you more. You know?
In a
But
phone.
I take full responsibility. Not the Bryce, the rapist guy. Not the uh, Harvard guy. Not the any other jock. It's on me. I couldn't read your mind. It's my fault you killed yourself.
It
Sorry.
doesn't. It doesn't matter that there was a literal rape lair in the high school. It was people
Yeah.
being mean.
No, no, I take full responsibility. No, no, like it was my fault. Listen, I only knew you for a few months, and I thought we were gonna get together, and I was a really good guy, but I just couldn't read your mind, and it's my
That's
fault.
unfortunate.
It's my fault.
But
If I loved you more, you'd still be alive. You know.
so, Emmett, what'd you
Mhm.
think of 13 Reasons Why season 2? Just very brief, very brief summary.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah.
I'm not good at keeping things brief, but let's go. I liked season one. I like as entertainment. I thought like it was perfectly watchable. 13 episodes. Despite the silliness of what I thought some of the storyline, I thought it was pretty watchable. Like I was like when the second season came out, I was like, oh, this is going to be another good show to just kind of breeze through and watch. But it was very boring. The second season until the latter stages, and the storyline became more and more absurd as it went on. And important, the biggest thing that let it down was it doesn't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the tone isn't right for what it wants to convey. And
Yeah.
it's caught between being a show that wants to, just have its own narrative and trying to be this social problem show, it's basically lost credibility for, any chance of that happening anyway, I think.
Yeah, season 1 was all right. Like, I wouldn't say it's a great show. I think if I would have rated it out of a 10 scale, I probably would have given it a 6 out of 10. It's enjoyable. It had some really cheesy moments, some moments that made my eyes roll and everything, and I don't know. So some of the stuff in there just I wasn't behind, but it still was fairly entertaining. So I had to give it that. Season 2, it just, as you said, it's boring. It's completely contrived. It's like all over the place, and and it just gets absolutely ridiculous. So okay, so if anyone listening to this, all 10 people that are going to listen to this, if you're afraid of spoilers,
Hello.
yeah, if you're afraid of spoilers, then don't listen to it because I'm just going to start it off with a spoiler right here. A freaking rape lair in a high school. Like
Yeah.
that's the crux of this entire story. A rape lair in a high school and kids who want to go Columbine but don't.
Yeah, the two r- biggest things that are, just ridiculous about the show. The rape layer with Bryce and the other guys who don't, as far as I know, they don't rape, they just take photos of them doing it.
Yeah,
That's
see, I didn't get that.
hard
So
to do.
they take photos. I guess I guess the whole thing was that they take photos inside to use as blackmail to keep the team together, but why would Bryce then take photos of like singular girls who are coming into the the shack? Like, why would he just take photos of them? Like, that's obviously not blackmail material.
Yeah. I
You know what I
didn't.
mean? So then that doesn't make any sense. But they keep it in this box, the box which Clay gets stolen from him by
The
that.
biggest Deus Ex Machina, like the box of photos that they take in the
Yeah,
radar,
they
which goes
take
which spoiler alert again, goes missing towards the end.
goes missing, and the girl who takes it, I don't know what her motivation was to take it. She takes it to
I'm
burn.
writing my own story for that one because she burns the other girl's photos, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
watching going, why would she do that?
Yeah, I
Why would
was
she do
confused, but
that? Yeah.
I was
You know?
really confused by that.
I
And
didn't like
also,
the character. I didn't like her.
no, I mean, this season. So at the end of season 1, there were a couple likable characters, right? Clay. I mean,
Rank them for me.
Clay's such an everyman. I mean, at the end of season 1, he still was likable. At the end of season 1, like he was all right. Like he's kind of like there's not much of a character to him. He's more like the place of the audience. Like
Do you
I
think
always
so?
yeah, because I always think about Clay and his attributes, and he has sometimes when he like acts out, but for the most time he's just such like this bland, uninspired character. He's like, yeah, whatever. I think that he's more almost like just our avatar into this world or whatever. Clay, yeah, he was likable. Tony was likable at the end of season 1. They destroyed that in season 2.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Who else? I mean, I guess now a lot of people thought Hannah was likable at the end of season 1. I didn't really think she was that
I
likable,
didn't. No, I didn't.
but definitely in season 2, whatever likability she had, they destroy.
Yeah, I mean, there. I get like so like I suppose the writer of the show would say, we were trying to make realistic individuals, flawed individuals,
But she bullied a kid into dropping out of school.
yeah, rather than being flawed, it's almost like they're all just as bad as each other, apart from
Yeah.
Bryce.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like towards the like the sociopathic end of the scale, I guess.
Yeah, the only character who I would say was actually flawed and not just bad was Zach Dempsey. Like
I've actually forgot who that is.
Asian jock.
Oh, Asian Jock. Yeah.
He's flawed, but he's not bad. Like,
No.
and I was feeling for Tyler for most of season 2. I felt like he should have been the protagonist.
Well, he would have do you remember at the end of season 1 when he bought the guns?
Yeah.
People thought, oh, he's going to do the shooting now, and then they kind of like wrong-footed us, and he makes some friends at the start of the season 2, and he's building up like a social circle. Your man's sister is interested in him, and they go on a date and everything, and like things are kind of looking up for Tyler, I guess. But then they break it down for him, so he like loses. That's all gone. He makes some mistakes, and like he's broken down. And even the rehab thing, he goes to, well, what is it? Rehab? He goes in like a retreat or something.
Yeah, on like an anger management retreat or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I just from a forum I read that was so it's totally mimicking the Columbine killers.
Yeah.
Even the first line at the end of the episode, "Go home, Clay." That's in Elephant. That's in the Gus Van Sant movie about the Columbine killing.
Yeah, and did you
that's
notice?
That's apparently what was said anyway. That was go home.
Yeah, and did you notice that the day he was going to shoot up the school would have been the 20th anniversary of Columbine?
No, I did not. But that was obviously deliberate as well.
Yeah,
which is kind of tacky. I don't know about you.
It is a little tacky.
That's really tacky. Like
that's
that's infamous school shooting, and you're kind of just reusing a bit.
Yeah. So for anyone who hasn't seen the series but doesn't care about spoilers, I'm just going to recap kind of how the series progresses. Mm-hmm. So how this series for British and Irish people, season for Americans. So series 2, season 2, it's still following the story of Hannah Baker. And Hannah Baker is now separated parents. Well, her mom is filing a lawsuit against the school, and so there's this whole like where they're bringing all these kids to testify in court about how the school was negligent to the bullying that Hannah was getting.
A ridiculous case as well.
Ridiculous case.
Never go to court.
Never go to court.
Any sense.
It's totally ridiculous. We'll get into that a little later. But it's the framing device for this show. Rather than the tapes, it's testimonies. And then there's other plots that are going on. So the other plot is, as we were just discussing, Tyler, who is the photographer in season 1. It's a plot about how he kind of becomes this kid who wants to shoot up the school, how he falls in with these punks and he starts, acting out and doing all this kind of stuff. And he just kind of takes it further and further, acting out against these people. And then on another one of the plots that ties into the court case plot is Clay, the protagonist, who is trying to find out where these Polaroids are coming from. These Polaroids that show up saying that Hannah wasn't the only one raped, and it's a Polaroid of Bryce raping a girl. And so he's trying to find it, and he finds out that there is a literal rape dungeon in the school in the form of
it's more of a shed.
Yeah, the greenskeeper shack. And there's where they take Polaroid photos of the girls that they rape. And then there's also this element of like almost like this Illuminati of the school that before anybody goes to do their testimony, they start getting threats, there's death, that people try to kill them or whatever. Like, you don't know who it is.
Monty was behind it all.
Monty was behind it all. Spoiler alert.
Strangest
I know.
character.
The strangest character who had absolutely no presence until the very end, too. Yeah.
His motives aren't really that clear either.
No, his motives aren't clear. He has no presence in the season. And then you find out at the end he's behind it all, and you're like,
why?
What? Like, who is this guy? That's what I was thinking.
I saw a really funny comment, in that scene. Is it in the last episode where he comes into Bryce? He's like, what are we going to do with this Tyler kid? He's back. And Bryce is like, you fucking moron, we're going to leave it. He's like, we're just not going to do anything. He's like, but why? He's like, listen to me, you don't do anything. And he's like, and you and I are done. And I just read a comment going, God, it's bad when you're agreeing with a rapist.
Yeah.
It's bad when the rapist is talking sense. Like,
well, what was weird was at the end, Bryce becomes like a nice guy. Like, so I guess we can, you know what? I missed one thing about the structure. Hannah's ghost comes back to haunt Clay.
Yeah, the worst thing about the show. Yeah,
I'm not even kidding you. Hannah Baker is literally the second lead in this because her ghost is in every other scene. And I
think they felt bad about not having her in the show. Like,
I do too. And see, I thought that it was like him just kind of imagining her, and I thought, okay, well, this would make sense if it's like him imagining her. But how they set it up is that, and how their conversations work and everything, is that she's an actual ghost. Like, it's not like his imagination or anything. It's like, no, it's her ghost.
Yeah, she has a point of view in it, that just doesn't add up. Like, it's almost, she's a ghost. She's giving him like thoughts that like maybe don't add up as a product of his imagination. It's
yeah, it's strange. Like, and she's like, what do you want to know about me? And she's like telling him stuff about her life that he didn't know beforehand.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So,
thanks, ghost.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, okay, she actually is a ghost. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
But then there's the idea that Clay is schizophrenic, which is heavily alluded to, maybe by accident in the show. Because if that's a hallucination, right? Just say, for argument's sake, that it is. Hannah's a hallucination. And he sees her all the time and talks to her in the presence of other people. He doesn't have the conversations in his head. Yeah. And then he nearly kills Bryce. He nearly shoots Bryce. He's in like a trance. And he has a breakdown and goes, and then Justin stops him. That's a schizophrenic person. Like, they've shown, maybe by accident, they've shown someone who's schizophrenic, and I don't know if they're going to play on that again. I presume there's going to be a season 3. I don't know if they're going to play on that again, but I mean, they kind of should, because Clay, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're not well.
Yeah, you're like your girlfriend. I almost turned it off in 5 minutes into the first episode when he and Sky started like trying to have sex. I almost like just I almost just closed it.
Yeah.
So this girl that he basically befriends at the end of season 1 because he's afraid she's going to kill herself, and that's the only reason he decides to hang out with her. Now she's his girlfriend, and he's like completely obsessed with her.
He's so well. I mean, just from like you were saying about Clay in the first season, he was kind of an everyman.
Yeah.
Like, just from my point of view, like, I don't see him like that at all. I see him as like this overly self-righteous kind of. I mean, his motive. I just see an inexperienced individual in life. Like, he seems so sheltered and naive about the world, and like he's so shocked at at any sort of faults between anything. It doesn't seem realistic, and he's so needy, and
I know
he's so needy, and he's not strong enough. He's supposed to be in my opinion, to be a main character. He's too weak to be the main character.
He's been drinking way too many soy lattes.
That's a possibility. I wouldn't rule it out. I'd say that he went vegan at some point. I'd say, no, he's the biggest. He's not the biggest problem. He's one of them.
Yeah, he's not exactly like, his character isn't enough to make me not watch the series.
Yeah.
But he also, just the actor Dylan Minnette just does not have that much charisma.
No, he has anti-charisma. I said this after the first season. He has a distinct lack of charisma. So when you're watching, you couldn't be less interested in what he has to say.
I know.
It's just a sound box, essentially.
I thought that the character who played as Tyler was the best out of the cast. I thought that he did the best out of all of them.
Him and Bryce, maybe.
Yeah. Bryce, I mean, the actor for Bryce is really good. Like, he portrays it as well as he can, really.
And they gave Tyler more room to develop his character, but like Bryce we're only really given a snippet of what he's like at the end, in terms of his actual personality behind closed doors. When he has that conversation with Mum, we're not really given any insight into. He's just a monster for us to look at, which isn't really that interesting. And
Bryce is a bit of a caricature of
he
rapist.
is. He's a jock, he's a jock caricature, Like, he's this idea that people have if there was this super jock being some, in this case, super rapist, and that he just does it all the time. He seemingly does not do it. He just and people are like, well, his parents obviously didn't teach him to respect women. I'm like, well, I'm sure he would have done these things either way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people who have that like propensity for antisocial behavior, it doesn't matter what you teach them. A lot of the times, they just do it. It's the thing. It's a hard pill to swallow, but
sometimes it's just it's kind of an illness. It's just something you can be, inclined to. Those are just some of your behaviors, I guess. But we didn't get any. We just didn't get any insight to that, though. Whether he was raised in a certain way, we can only presume because he's rich. Like, that was the big thing. Like, he's rich and his dad is distant, and he's given too much freedom. Like, his backstory I thought was rubbish compared to the others.
His backstory was terrible. I mean, there really isn't.
He's integral to the plot,
Yeah, no, and we don't know anything about his. The one piece of backstory we get is that absolutely terrible scene where he steals the Twinkies as a third grader.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was so bad.
The whole dialogue. He's been entitled since he was 3, I know. That almost seems like it's more of a genetic thing anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
He was always like that.
But even going past the characters, like, I don't fault any of the actors if it seemed like they had a bad performance because the dialogue was so bad. The dialogue is some of the worst I've heard in a long time.
What would you say was the worst dialogue in the show? Because I have a moment I can pick out.
Okay, so I'll give a couple moments.
Okay.
Tyler's mom walks into the room when he's listening to punk music, and she says something like, "This music sounds very angry." He's like, "Yeah."
Very cheesy. Yeah.
And she goes, "Are you angry?" He's like, "Yes." And she goes, "What are you angry at?" "Everything." Like, I almost laughed. I was cringing and laughing at the same time. The other moment of really bad dialogue is when, spoiler, as if anyone cares about that at this point.
If you're still listening.
Is when Clay finds out that Zach has been the one leaking the Polaroids. And Clay goes, "It was you all along." And Zach goes, "I'm a coward, Clay. You're not." And I'm...
Yeah, as if he fucking say that. I'm like...
that made me so mad. That made me so mad, him saying that. I was like, we have not seen Clay to do anything courageous or really do anything this entire season. He hasn't done a single thing this whole season except talk to a freaking ghost. Like,
except talk to a person he didn't know. He's mourning a person that comes out in the second season. He didn't even know her that well.
Yeah,
he didn't know her that well. He didn't know her parents. Like, he didn't know her that well. Like, he barely knew her. He didn't know about her and Zach, which I feel like they just put in to make the story slightly more interesting. But he didn't know about that.
That seems like a retcon, the whole Zach thing.
Yeah, like.
But to be honest, Zach and her were a much better pair than Clay and her.
Okay, well, my worst, the moment that made me cringe the most was actually Zach. I think it was after his testimony. And he comes home and his mum's asking him all these questions, and he's just like, "I heard all the time." He's, "Why don't we ever talk about Dad?" And it just like he's like, he's like, "I'm not over it." Like, it was so on the nose and cheesy and American. I hate to say it, but it was just so.
Well, I would say L.A. Let's not say all of America here.
Forgive me.
All right. Here's the thing about the show. If you're going into the show, of course, it's all been spoiled, so why even watch the show in the first place? But if you're going into the show thinking it's going to be done with subtlety and grace and nuance, I don't think the writers know anything about those words. I think that those words are completely out of their lexicon. Everything that somebody feels, they outright say. If they're feeling something, they say it. It's just so blunt. Like,
it's actually almost quite healthy, but in a way it makes the characters more dysfunctional.
Yeah, like all the dialogue is completely on the nose, and it really gets grating after a while. Like, I mean, to me, it gets grating immediately. Like, when characters talk with such on the nose dialogue, if it's not totally fitting to the scene. 'Cause, I mean, sometimes it's fitting to the environment, but I mean, a lot of these times, not really. And then character motivations are all over the place. Like when they had I forget what her name was, Chloe, Bryce's girlfriend, go to testify, and she's like realized that she got raped and all this kind of stuff. Then she goes up there and then backs out. Yeah, like she goes up to the stand, takes the oath to whatever. Is protected under
the law, and she still is saying, "Nah, I'm not gonna out him."
And so that brings me to another thing. The super lawyer, right? This like lawyer that knows more about their lives than the kids do. Like,
I was just like, if you're just like, I'm never gonna go to trial for anybody if this is the level of like knowledge having you know.
I can guarantee you it's not. I can guarantee you these lawyers don't know what happened during one day at a party over the summer that has nothing to do with the case.
And they're just like, "Yeah, you were taking drugs, weren't you?" And you're just like, how would they know that?
Yeah.
How?
Or like, you guys dated. We got to know the entire story of when you dated. Zach and Hannah. Okay, so that was during school and had nothing to do with the school, yet he testifies about them dating even though they did it outside of school grounds and it wasn't during the school year. Like, what? Like, what? How is that even relevant? Like, everything that they talk about, the testimonials, isn't even relevant. Even the whole, like, Bryce, like, is a rapist thing, totally irrelevant to the school. Because... Or as far as like, okay, I guess you can then link it, their link was that well, the rape dungeon was on school grounds and everything, but they didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they just thought that if they could show that Bryce was raping people, and the school was, you know, Bryce is the big jock, and the school gives a lot of money to athletes.
He runs the school, man. You know.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I mean,
the real version is that Tyler's the rapist. That's the real version.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Bryce he's so privileged that he thinks he can have anything. You know.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that Tyler wouldn't have to seduce, like he wouldn't have to force anybody, because if he is the king of the school, then
if you're the king, why do you force anything?
And here's the thing: is that even Hannah wanted a bit of Tyler.
Yeah,
Bryce. I mean, even Hannah wanted Bryce. Like every girl in the school wanted Bryce. Like
I know. Did Hannah actually? Was there not a clip of the truth where he was?
Where he brings her to the bridge. And
no, in the shed where he got that picture, and she says, "I like you just as a friend."
Yeah.
And then we got a bit of motive for like the reason he'd want to have her anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
They try to retcon that into the thing, because people were saying in season 1, what was his motive for raping her? Like it seemed out of place.
Yeah.
And
then he gets a hard on when he's thinking about the rape, and like we're supposed to go, God, he is such a scumbag then.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I know.
Then that's like, oh, you have to think he's a huge monster now. And like, I guess you will, but you're just thinking like, we don't know, like, this guy's he's a caricature at the moment. We don't know anything about it, you know?
Yeah, well, he doesn't have any kind of like saving grace sort of thing that makes you conflicted about his character that would have made it interesting.
Yeah.
Where he does something that's actually really good, but at the same time he's really bad.
Why does Chloe like him? You know, why
exactly.
Does she want to stay with him, you know?
I know, and people are going to say, oh, because he's rich and he can take her to Italy and stuff like that. I'm like, you know, like, I don't know if that's a reason to lie under oath.
Yeah.
A trip to Italy, like, I don't know if I would lie under oath just because I could get a trip to Italy. Like, that seems a bit extreme.
Well, it is extreme.
Yeah.
It's totally extreme. That's the thing. But let's look at it this way. How do we make this show better? Because I have a few suggestions.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm just going to say one more complaint I have about the show. Very minor
please.
Complaint.
Yeah.
How they text like it's 2007, where they use like the numbers. You know what I mean? Like how they text like they're still texting on Nokia bricks. You know, where you're using the really shortened text language.
Yeah.
Using like the number 4 instead of saying 4 and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, gosh, who are these people? Who are these people? And then, gosh, what was another thing? I mean, the really overt production design to characterize the people, how the characters are literally characterized by the band posters in their rooms.
Yeah.
Joy Division
for Alex,
Arcade Fire for Clay. I mean, it was like it's so on the nose. It's so obvious. Justin's whole character is like some sort of way to comment on the opioid crisis, but I thought it was just
it's hardly believable, was it?
It's not believable at all. No. Not with him.
No.
And then they basically like make him when he's younger, who's like the dirty kid from the Peanuts. You know, the kid that's always like dirty and dirt's following him everywhere. He's basically that kid as that as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just thought that was kind of funny. But anyways, I'll go into how I think it could have been better.
Okay. You go, then I'll go.
I was to do season 2. And so say this isn't me making it an anthology series where I make it completely different, like American Horror Story or something like that, you know?
Okay.
But I'm actually taking on these characters, and it's the sequel to season 1. So what I would have done is I would have started it with a school shooting, right? And Tyler shoots up the school, and he kills Bryce in Montgomery. Maybe he doesn't kill a lot of kids, you know, but the big ones killed are Bryce and Montgomery. And so as everyone is mourning, so then there's like a criminal investigation into it, right? And and Tyler had made all these YouTube videos, almost like Elliot Rodgers style.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so then we start to piece together Tyler's backstory on why he did all this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We start to piece that together, but at the same time, we learn about Bryce's past, or the stuff about him being a rapist, right, comes up. But the thing is that since he's dead, everyone's talking about how great he was, and nobody wants to say anything bad about him because he's dead. You know, they're like, honor the dead. But now all this kind of stuff is starting to come to the surface about all these bad things that he did. And basically everyone in the school and in town pretty much is trying to suppress all these terrible things that he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they want the past to be the past, but maybe these girls who were raped now feel like they can't say anything. You know what I mean? Like Jessica and stuff. And I think that would have made it a lot more interesting because there would actually be a conflict.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's you know, that's basically right, and that it's just the conflict would actually be believable as opposed to having a court case that would never happen. Which is the precedent for the second season. But what I would do, and you see, there were moments where I liked, I just enjoyed some of the show in the latter stages of the second season. It was kind of like more when the pressure was put on Bryce, when there was someone or Clay leaked the tapes overnight.
Yeah.
On the internet. So I thought, so the film didn't really follow the tone I thought it should have then. It should have got a lot sort of darker, I thought, and followed Bryce's actual point of view then. It should have followed, exactly, the version of events that happened with some of those girls in the thing. It should have tried to go over that very briefly. And it should have, I had a few, the film that popped up into my head was Bully, the Gus Van Sant film. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, to anyone watching, you should watch. If you want to watch a film that actually deals with a character who's very similar. He's not a jock at all, but it's a very similar kind of film, a kind of setup, and that was the tone that's in that film. It's in like a Gus Van Sant film, which is just as relevant because he made Elephant as well, which was a cool shooter film. It's very serious, and you're following very, very extreme characters from their point of view, and how they got to that point of view. Instead of making it this kind of, we've got to follow these righteous people in their pursuit of justice, because like obviously you want them to get justice, but that's not really a story. It's just something you think is going to happen, and it doesn't happen. But that's because they want a third season. It doesn't. But they could have been a lot more clinical about the tone and followed a much darker route of following Bryce, following Monty, because we don't know what the fuck is going on there. Yeah. So Monty is a very important character to follow.
I know, especially
we needed his point of view more. We needed his point of view more. Because there was and with Bryce as well, when he was actually on trial, when he was in the testimony, and he was recalling his version of events as if to make you believe his version of events. Yeah. And you're kind of thinking, did he get with Hannah that a few times? That's kind of the thoughts put into your head. But then they get rid of it. They mess with it when he's on his own, drinking whiskey, and he thinks of what really happened, But that sort of threw a spanner in the works. I thought it was kind of interesting when he had those thoughts, and it was that point of view was reflected to the audience. Because Hannah's not trying to mess with too much of the story, but Hannah's is an unreliable narrator. She lied about a few things in the tapes. The one I remember the most was the Zach thing with the note in the first season, and he says, "I never tore up that note. I still have it," and he takes it out. And you're thinking, right, so she's not reliable. She's not telling the truth about that.
Yeah.
Why did she bother lying about that? There was no point in lying about that. But she did.
Yeah. No, and you know what's funny too is they kind of like try to address this in season 2 where they say that her tapes were meant as revenge, and Tony was like, they're not revenge, she just wanted justice. But the thing is, when teenagers want justice, it always goes poorly. And their response to people, you know, rightful criticism of 13 Reasons Why season 1 was that this is just making it like you can kill yourself and you'll get revenge on all the people that bullied you, and that's a good way to go about, you know, killing yourself, or that's a good way about like dealing with this, and which is
rock and roll suicides, you know, like it's a very glamorous thing. People would think after it happens. Then.
Now, I did like in season 1 that they made her suicide very hard to watch.
That was the best thing about it.
Yeah,
that was a very, very graphic, and that scene was I remember being I don't know about you, I was just shocked watching it. It was just really the razor blades and the brutality of it was really something else.
I thought it was a lot more shocking than the Tyler anal rape scene, because that scene, like, even though it was shocking, it just, I mean, whereas Hannah's scene made me feel both like disturbed but also sad, like that had me feeling disturbed, but also like, you should definitely bring those guns to the schools.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
Was it just like, was I the one who thought how I had that thought? You know, when just after it happened, like right after it happened, I was like, oh yeah, man, just go and shoot up the school. Like I was on his side then. I was just I was like, mate, you've had a terrible. I was like, just shoot up the school. You know, like maybe they knew what they were doing then. Maybe like the like that part of the story was effective, I guess you could say, because they were just like, after that happened, you're just like, dude, shoot up the school.
Well, see, here's the thing is, I think that they had to reshoot the ending because that felt like a reshoot to me, and
really?
the whole way that like Clay comes out too and talks him out of it was so unrealistic. I was like,
he shoots Clay after he tries to keep talking to him. In the real the real version of that, he shoots Clay and he massacres the school.
That's how it should have gone. Like, that's the most realistic version.
Yeah.
And, you know, who's Clay to say, like, you know, Clay's putting himself in front of this, but Clay's part of the whole problem. Like, I mean,
Clay's not his friend. Clay's not friends with Tyler, you know?
No, he's
not. So ideally, talk him out of it is...
And why was Clay like, don't call the cops, blah, 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 everyone's staying here. What? Like, no, get everyone out of an exit that's not where this kid's coming in from.
Yeah, and the, dumb reasoning anyway. What was the text? Did he put up what, we never saw it.
We never saw it either.
Remember your man, was it Cyrus? That was the friend he had at the start. His sister came up to Clay.
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, and she was like, I got this text, he's gonna shoot up the school. Like, I was like, what? He just texted, did he?
I know, that seems like a bit of a Deus Ex Machina. Maybe he posted on 4chan, some of y'all are safe, but don't show up to the school dance tomorrow.
Like, the show has already gone on such an extreme level with the tragedies they're kind of produced that it's not based on any kind of reality. So just have him shoot up some of the school and roll on the next season. Just have him shoot them up, you know?
So I have two things to say to that. Is that like it does feel like they really chickened out. And also, do you remember that whole thing near the beginning of the season where they're talking about how art needs to be in your face? I think it was the punk kid saying it or something like this. In your face, and it needs to be like expressive, and it can be disturbing, and it can be all those things, but it's saying something, right? And I felt like that was the writers saying like, 13 Reasons Why this show is disturbing. It is in your face and everything like that, but we have something important to say. And, you know, that felt like it was expeditious from the writers talking about their show to the audience. Yeah. But then for them to say that, and then in the same season, chicken out of this ending, felt like, I mean, it just felt hypocritical to me.
Yeah, it felt like you were cheated, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And the ending was a total letdown. And he goes into Tony's car, Tony, who has 2 strikes.
Well, Tony, like, he's sitting in a car with a guy with him, like, who's armed with guns. Like, what's going to happen there? You know?
Yeah, exactly. So now he assisted attempted mass murder. Now he's a getaway driver. Okay, is he going to go away to prison for years now? Clay doesn't put down the gun.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know anything about like American policemen, but if there's a shooter situation, they shoot whoever is holding a gun. So is Clay going to get shot by the police when they show up because he's not going to put the assault rifle down?
He's going to have a shootout.
You know what I mean? Like when he wouldn't put the gun down, I was like, dude, holy shit, put the gun down. Also, you've got your fingerprints all over the gun now.
Yeah,
like, my God.
I heard people saying that part was especially ridiculous because of that.
Yeah, no, it was completely ridiculous. I mean, gosh, I don't know. There's just so much. So now the one good thing out of this season that I was very glad about was when they go shooting, when Tyler takes Cyrus shooting and he teaches him proper trigger safety to not have your finger on the trigger. I was like, okay, someone gets it. At least they got one thing right. I gotta give it to them.
They consulted someone.
They got one thing right, and that made me really like Tyler. I was like, I like Tyler, and he's my favorite character. And when his storyline seemed like it was scrubbed or it was sort of cheated, I mean he was the one storyline I was actually hoping would come to a good ending, and not good as in sense of like making me feel good, but good as in the sense of it feeling like it was a logical ending to that story.
Well, that would have been he was kind of, even in the writing, it's funny as an actor, you can kind of look at it this way. In the writing, he's kind of screwed at the end. Mm-hmm. So like as an actor, he has to work his way around his decision, which he is absolute in, that I'm going to shoot up the school. He's totally changed after that rape. He's a different character then. He's totally changed, and he's going, okay, no, I have to do this now. And he's heading in, and then he has to make like the switch into I'm not going to do this anymore, which is impossible. Like he ends up just looking kind of confused, as a result, because it's very hard for any actor, to make that switch when there's so much at stake in that scene, and the writing is so bad from that scene, because Clay is just, his dialogue is it's a diatribe.
I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Be honest. Be honest with yourself.
I don't want you to die. That's the line that supposedly gets. You know what? That reminds me of another line that was one of my worst lines of the season.
Oh yeah.
Is when Clay takes the gun to Bryce's house to shoot Bryce, and then Justin talks him out of it. Yeah. And Bryce says something about his testimony, like something like that. You're gonna lose everything, and Justin Justin's like, I don't have anything left to lose. That's what makes me dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's funny because the reason why that line's so bad is because it's coming. Mm-hmm. He's gonna say it. Not that the dangerous part was cringy, but he's going to say, I've got nothing left to lose, because he hasn't anything left to lose.
Yeah. It would have been a lot better.
Again. He's still shooting up.
He's still shooting up at the end. He has absolutely no character arc.
And he fucks Jessica again. She leaves your man during the prom.
That made no sense. She takes him. Okay, so it just makes you absolutely hate Jessica. Yeah. Obviously, we know that Justin is still in love with her. He's going to do whatever to try to get with her. That's his motivation. That's for the entire season. Literally, his entire motivation.
Are we not going out again? Alex is and she's like, yeah, I think you can say we are. And he's like, great, so we go to the prom. Yeah. And she's like, absolutely.
And then she goes and hooks up at the prom while she's on the date with Alex. Oh my God.
Could you think of a worse way of cheating on someone?
Oh my God, dude.
Apart from at a wedding, I think at a prom is up there.
Yeah, no, that is. I was just in shock when I saw. I was more in shock at that than at the bathroom scene. If I'm going to be completely honest, I was like, this seems. I mean, it seems totally out of character too for her.
Yeah.
It seems totally out of character. I'm like, what the heck is this? They just.
I thought she hated him as well.
Yeah, she does. She does hate him.
Yeah.
And
he let some dude just rape him. Actually, you forgive that? When is that ever going to be on the cards for forgiveness? Justin just sits outside while Bryce is doing his thing in the first season, and he's like, damn it. Like, he's just like, he goes downstairs and he sucks about it. He's so pathetic.
He needs to get like a good like Hallmark and get like a I'm sorry card.
And on the testimony, he's just like, I didn't want to stop him because I didn't want to I didn't want to end the friendship because I knew it was ending there. And you're like, what? He's raping your girl.
I know. Like, wouldn't that just like hit some kind of like inner part of your brain?
Yeah, part of your brain. You wouldn't be like, well, my friendship will be over.
You're thinking, I gotta defend my woman. I gotta go in there and give it all I can. Like, jeez.
It's just insane, like that. And then like the fact that she'd sleep with him again, it's like in terms of people being fucked up. I know that they've gone through all this shit because because it's in the story, but good lord.
Oh my gosh, I know it's dude, it's just so dumb. Like the whole season. I mean, there's stuff that I know that we haven't really touched on.
Well,
I'm trying to
think for the biggest thing. So just in terms of what the show thinks it's like trying to achieve, it's like it's very on the nose about mental health and things like that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, no one is mentally healthy in the show.
No one is.
No one except Clay's dad.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much
the only person we're like kind of believe is mentally well. No one else is.
You know what? That reminds me of something too. I think I texted this to you or to one of my friends when I was watching it.
Yeah.
Is that final testimony from Jessica when she's talking about getting raped? It switches to all the different women talking about all their different times of sexual harassment or getting raped and everything.
I remember.
It's like every single woman in the show has something to say. I'm like, they're obviously trying to piggyback off this like hashtag Me Too or hashtag Time's Up sort of thing. And it just that was also so on the nose.
Imagine if
so
one came out and went. Imagine if they edited in one and it was one of them just going, "Yeah, nothing happened." It's never happened to me.
I know, like, gosh, that whole scene just baffled me. I was like, this is so stupid. I mean, there are better ways to show this. They took the absolute dumbest, most blunt, most just like, I mean, hitting you over the head with it. To the point
and it ruins the tone of the show as well. It just are you making a documentary at this stage? A very weird documentary,
Yeah.
But to the mental health thing, right? I mean, people will. I imagine people would argue and say, well, you need to talk about mental health, and I'm not saying no. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying there's no one really to contrast in the show as stable, like someone who is mentally healthy, who can show them the way to put it that way. Even the counselor is fucked up, right? After the Hannah thing, he's not even stable.
Yeah, exactly.
But he gets in a fight with like Justin's stepdad. Like he's totally off the rails. But Clay's dad is the only one I can remember being sort of sensible and just how he's trying to manage the situation. But there's no one, people to be mentally healthy, like there's no one to look towards in terms of who's going to be mentally healthy or okay.
Yeah, no, there's not. There's not some kind of stable foundation. And I think that Clay was meant to be that kind of stable foundation, but then he goes off and does a whole bunch of stupid shit.
And he's schizophrenic.
Yeah, he's schizophrenic. That's canon now. That's lore. That's in the
lore.
So
in terms of mental health, he's Clay's got a rough one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and another thing, another thing about the high school is there are way more gay people in that high school than I had in my high school. What are they like? I mean, gay men are what 2 to 3% of the population. Not a huge, not a huge, society. Obviously, in 330 million people, that means that there are 10 million of them or something like that. So there's a lot of them, but at this particular high school, it's like the editor guy is gay, Tony's gay, Tony just seems to have such an easy time finding boyfriends too. Like just these
Yeah,
normal.
Tony's a player. You know, he
Yeah,
just
he is
his
a player.
fingers and he just gets dudes, just dudes coming at
I,
him.
I refuse to say that Alex is straight.
Yeah, but they messed with our perceptions with that
Yeah, they did.
anyway. You
Yeah,
know?
when he gets turned on a bit when he's playing around with Zach.
Yeah, I mean, listen, who wouldn't? But you know, but no, in the first season, you're just like he looks like he's going to be gay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's that. I mean, I know I'm just going off a stereotype. He has like dyed blonde hair. He's scrawny. He kind of talks like this. You know, he's kind of like, oh my god, why am I dating this girl Jessica? It's so lame. You know, and you're just like,
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
Waiting for it. But then when it happened in season 2, I was like, no way. They're actually just going to do it. They're going to make him gay, and you know they're going to roll with that. But apparently not.
Yeah, no, just it was kind of like oh maybe, but no, not really. We
Yeah,
didn't go that way.
They could have gone even weirder, made like Bryce bisexual, and had him like raping guys as well as a form of like blackmail.
Yeah. But you know, here's the other thing. There was one of the punk guys was gay too.
Which guy?
Remember, there's that thing where the punk guy calls that news editor kid a faggot, and he says, "I can say it because I'm gay."
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. And I was like, man, like I remember there being like 2, and then the one chick is lesbian, the Asian girl.
Oh, the Asian girl. Yeah, everyone gets a shout out. Yeah, they're very spread out, but I mean, like it's that kind of show. It wants to cover all bases.
Yeah, it does. And it really feels like it. If it's tokening, you know,
and like the very old school, archetype, which would be the jock who's comes from a wealthy family, is like he's the absolute evil. You know, he's just the evil villain of all this like diversity. He has to be, we have to despise him, And although they did it with that guy as well, the guy who wants to go to Harvard,
Marcus.
Marcus, he is a prick though. They really do make that character a complete dick.
I know, like the first season, want everything bad to happen to him.
Yeah, you want you almost want him just to suffer, you can't think like Bryce is going to be able to deal with it, but you're not like he won't be able to deal with it. It's just a weird show in that sense.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's all over the place. So just to sum everything up, I think we can agree on all these points. It's all over the place, tonally, story-wise. There's no driving force in the story. In season 1, we had the tapes, and we had the ability to learn more about these people. Season 2, we're just looking back and basically expanding on season 1 in the court case. But we already know everything about all these people. We already know all the juicy bits, at least, about these people. The other stuff isn't. The main thing that's meant to keep us on edge is the rape dungeon, but that sort of isn't good enough to really like create a good because it doesn't create any sort of a tension.
No,
it's not like it's not creating any sort of tension. It's just sort of out there in this weird thing that exists in this world. As well as like there are other things like the Hobo Hotel and stuff like that, which is strange. And they had something at least halfway decent going, I think, with Tyler's storyline, but they chickened out. And it completely failed the entire storyline at the end.
Yeah.
And overall, the dialogue was bad. It just was. It really seems like a cash in on a season 1 success.
Well, just for those who don't know, I'm sure most people know, but the first season's based on a book, and now they're just going off like they don't have any more source material, so they're writing their own material. So you can see why it would be, and apparently they took quite a few liberties now with the actual source material, because Hannah actually doesn't die in the book; she gets saved. So they made things, I suppose they messed with things in the source material, but now they have no source material. So the
Yeah.
story is going to be shaky anyway for that reason.
Oh, I haven't read the book. She gets saved in the book?
Yeah, I haven't read it either. I've heard good things about the book from just talked to a few people who read it, and they say the book is a lot better. But I mean,
Oh, okay.
people say that anyway, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they do. So, if you were to give it a rating out of 10, now it doesn't have to be a number, it can be an idea out of 10 or whatever. um, what would you give it?
Okay. I give it a 5 out of 10. Actually, no, I give it a 4 because of the ending. The ending really,
Yeah.
really just left me hanging. Like it
I'm
just
gonna,
was.
yeah.
It was such a find out on next season kind of ending. There was just no closure at all. It was crap.
I'm gonna give it a bad Degrassi special out of 10.
You were gonna go Anthony Fantana. I'm gonna give it a
Disappointed.
hard 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This
Yeah. Well,
a
that would
strong 5.
equate to a solid a average to strong 3.
That's what I'm on this one, guys.
in
Just
the melon
yeah.
in the melonverse. Yeah. So, let's. I want to end this with. So, if you were interested in watching 13 Reasons Why season 2, and we ruined everything for you, what are some other films or shows you know that we could recommend that people watch instead? And I know you've got
Great
two.
idea. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier the Gus Van Sant thing. I would watch Bully and Kids. Kids is Gus Van Sant movie, isn't it?
No, it's Larry Clark.
Larry Clark. Okay, well I'd watch
Yeah.
Kids as well. Bully is Bully is probably the better film in my opinion. And I'd watch Elephant as well, which is about a school shooting. It's a little more documentary-like though, and how it portrays the students anyway. So you kind of get a slice of life, I suppose, when you're watching it. And Brick, the Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie.
Yeah.
I thought Clay was going to be that character, in season 1. I thought like he was going to be this high school detective kind of thing, which would have been kind of cool. But that's a very dark high school crime film, which is definitely worth watching. I think it's really good.
Okay. I'll add in as far as like showing how people actually react to like death, as far as high school movies go. A couple years ago, me and Earl and the Dying Girl, I thought was very good, and that's definitely a better option as far as also it being a fairly recent teen film. And also, I was talking to you before we started, but as far as like showing the darkness of teenagers and everything, if you got 4 hours of your time, you can watch a bright summer day, or a brighter summer day. That's also a really good sort of delved into kind of teenage violence. Teenage.
And I'll add in another one actually. What Richard Did.
What Richard Did. That's a good one.
If you're not Irish and for some reason you're listening to this, I'd watch that. I think there's some strong moments in that which would be, which would, I suppose, would there be a crossover with 13 Reasons Why, I guess?
Yeah. Well, Jack Rayner and What Richard Did is it's kind of like a more realistic Bryce in a sense.
In a sense that like he isn't like he's someone who made a massive mistake, but he's not a monster, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And the ending definitely is a little chilling. Yeah. What Richard Did is very good. I saw that was in cinemas, I guess, our first year of Trinity.
Yeah. Way back 2012.
Way back 2012, man. that was something. I think that's it. I can't recall
the times
anymore.
have changed.
Yeah, gosh, I can't recall any more movies to give on the recommendeds for 13 Reasons Why, because a lot of teen movies are just, don't watch Paper Towns, don't watch The Fault in Our Stars. Both of those are bad.
Yeah, but I mean, but you and I kind of have a sort of, we kind of have a fascination with like the really, really bleak side of that world,
Yeah,
which isn't totally, it's not totally realistic most of the time, but like there's some films that get that tonally right,
yeah, exactly.
which the show just fails at completely. But when it's tonally done right, I like how chilling it is and how engrossing and kind of in a way disgusting it is to watch, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But anyway, so that's our review of 13 Reasons Why Season 2. All in all, it sucks. Please tell us what you thought of it if you made it this far in the podcast.
Please do.
Alrighty, and we'll join you again sometime soon. So just one last little tidbit to add. 13 Reasons Why Season 2 is unforgivable because they take about 2 minutes dissing Kubrick and talking about how crappy 2001: A Space Odyssey is. Like, they have the gall to talk about how bad 2001: A Space Odyssey is, when their show is literally the worst thing I've seen all year. It baffled me. It baffled me. It made me angry. It made me side with Tyler. That was the moment that I sided with Tyler, is when they talk shit about 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's all I have to say.